New to Brook Hill Middle School, 11-year-old Amir Khan walked through the shiny front doors clutching his schedule so tightly that the paper crinkled, yet he lifted his chin because his father had told him strong hearts show in straight backs. The hallway buzzed with chatter about weekend video games and lunch trades, but Amir focused on finding homeroom 6B, tracing the numbers on the doors while reminding himself that math is easier when you breathe slowly. At locker row C, three bigger boys blocked the path, and their leader, Trent Baxter, gave Amir a grin that was more like a shark showing teeth than a friendly welcome. "Hey, new B, lost already?" Trent asked, flicking Amir's schedule out of his grasp, and the paper fluttered like a trapped moth, twisting and drifting in slow circles through patches of sunlight before finally landing near a trash can that stood like a silent judge. Amir's cheeks burned, yet he counted to 5 in his head, because grandfather taught him that temper is a fire that burns its own house first. He stepped forward, picked up his schedule, and said in a steady voice, "I'm just taking a class. Please move so everyone can pass." Trent laughed, and his buddies Milo and Zach echoed the sound, slapping lockers to make the noise louder, hoping to draw a crowd that would watch the teasing. A few students slowed, phones half raised to capture drama, but the bell rang and lockers slammed like cymbals, so they hurried off, leaving Amir alone with the bullies and the hollow echo of shoes on tile. Trent shoved Amir's shoulder lightly, testing, the way a cat taps a mouse to see if it will squeak. Amir slid 1 foot back, planting himself like a tree, not attacking, only balancing as his martial arts teacher, Sensei Rivera, had drilled during Saturday classes. "What's in the bag, tough guy?" Zach sneered, tugging at Amir's backpack strap, but Amir kept his hands at his sides and answered, "Books, lunch, and none of your business." Milo reached for the zipper, aiming to spill the contents, yet Amir pivoted just enough that Milo's fingers brushed empty air, and Milo stumbled forward with a surprised grunt. Trent's grin faltered, because the new kid moved like water, slipping around trouble instead of freezing or running. Determined to regain control, Trent balled his fist and swung a slow, showy punch designed more to scare than to strike, confident Amir would flinch like a puppy. Amir ducked, letting Trent's fist cut wind, and he stepped sideways so smoothly that it looked like part of a dance, then straightened, still calm. "Fighting breaks school rules," Amir said, his voice even, "but self-defense is allowed if someone tries to hurt me." The words were simple, yet they hit Trent harder than a kick, because they showed everyone who the rule breaker would be. Anger reddened Trent's face as Milo hissed, "He's mouthing off, make him sorry," yet Trent hesitated, sensing that hitting Amir might not end well. In that pause, a teacher's footsteps echoed from the stairwell, and the bullies stepped back, pretending to study posters about the science fair. Amir adjusted his backpack strap, nodded at them, and walked to homeroom, feeling dozens of curious eyes follow him like spotlights. He sat at a desk near the window, heart thumping like sneakers in a dryer, wondering if keeping calm had been the right choice, because peace sometimes feels weaker than rage until you remember that true strength is choosing when not to strike. Ms. Delgado, the cheerful homeroom teacher, called roll, and when she said Amir Khan, her warm smile steadied him the way a lighthouse steadies ships in fog. During morning announcements, Amir heard whispers behind him, Trent telling Milo that lunch would be round 2, and Amir's stomach tightened, but he kept taking notes about the homework app. First period was English, and Amir loved stories, yet even the adventure of reading Treasure Island felt distant while he waited for the next shove or snicker. At recess, he found a quiet corner near the basketball hoop and practiced deep breaths, visualizing the gentle bough of the bamboo that bends but does not break, while a cool spring breeze rustled the chain net and carried the earthy scent of freshly cut grass. The breeze felt like a quiet cheer squad, brushing his cheeks and reminding him that air moves around obstacles without losing its way. A classmate named Lily, tiny yet fearless, bounced over and said, "Saw you stand up to locker lizards, cool moves," which made Amir smile despite nerves. Lily invited him to join her group for Foursquare, and Amir played, enjoying the rhythm of the bouncing ball, until Trent's shadow loomed across the chalk lines. "Game's over, newbies," Trent barked, kicking the ball across the blacktop, and grins faded from the other kids as clouds crawled over the sun. Amir walked to retrieve the ball, returning it to the square, and said, "Games are for everyone. You can have next, but we're still on our turn." Trent's friends laughed like a laugh track in a bad sitcom, and Trent stepped closer, but Coach Ramirez blew a whistle, calling everyone inside for science. The afternoon crawled like a turtle crossing peanut butter, yet Amir paid attention, answering math problems and earning a sticker that read Number Ninja, which he quietly stuck inside his notebook while Mr. Patel gave him an approving thumb up that warmed his nerves. He liked that the sticker ninja looked determined, just like he felt about finishing the day with dignity. When the final bell rang, the sea of students poured toward buses and bikes, and Amir walked steadily to the racks, where Trent, Milo, and Zach waited like storm clouds over calm water. They circled him, bragging about belt levels from online videos, but Amir bowed politely, saying, "If you leave me alone, we can all go home safe." Zach shoved him first, and Milo reached to grab, but Amir sidestepped, guiding Milo's arm past with a gentle shove that used Milo's own speed to spin him away. Zach lunged, yet Amir dipped low, sweeping Zach's ankle, and Zach landed on soft grass with a shock doof, losing the will to rush again. Trent attacked last, swinging wide, and Amir blocked with crossed forearms, then pivoted, guiding Trent's momentum, so the older boy stumbled but did not fall, learning that force without focus is empty, just as Sensei Rivera always said during belt drills. Coach Ramirez, who watched from the doors after hearing rumors, strode over as Amir stepped back, hands open, saying, "I did not hit first, and I will stop when they stop." As Amir unlocked his bike, Lily waved from the curb and shouted, "Hero moves, new kid," and Amir realized that standing firm without cruelty had given him something stronger than victory. It had given him respect, a first thread of friendship, and a story worth telling at dinner. After dinner that night, Amir sat at his bedroom desk lit by a small lamp shaped like a rocket ship, and he wrote every single thing that had happened in a blue notebook titled Challenge Log, because Sensei Rivera said stories become guides when we put them on paper. His little sister Sarah bounced in wearing bunny slippers and asked why he looked serious, so Amir told her he was drawing maps for tomorrow, which made her giggle as she offered him a pink gel pen for extra power. The family's house smelled of cardamom tea and fresh roti, drifting from the kitchen where Mom hummed an old Urdu lullaby, and that scent reminded Amir that gentle things give strength just like tough things do. He packed his backpack methodically, sliding math homework, karate GI for after-school class, and a tiny book of uplifting quotes that grandfather mailed from Karachi with a note that read, "Brave deeds grow from quiet hearts." Before bed, Amir knelt on the carpet and practiced silent kata, imagining invisible opponents whose arms were made of doubts, and he sliced through them with disciplined moves learned over years of dusty dojo floors. He slept deeply and dreamed of standing on a mountain while wind bent tall grass all around, showing him that even when pushed, roots keep you upright if you dig them deep enough. The sunrise painted gold stripes across his wall, and birds outside sang a tune that felt like the word forward repeated over and over, urging him to meet the new day without fear. At breakfast, Dad adjusted Amir's collar and said, "Remember, son, muscles matter less than mind," which echoed like a drumbeat in Amir's head as he biked towards school under a peach-colored sky. He arrived early and locked his bicycle, noticing dew sparkling on the soccer field like scattered diamonds, and he whispered a promise to himself to shine just as steadily. In homeroom, Lily waved him over to a seat beside her, sliding a doodle of a ninja pineapple onto his desk with the caption "Team Anti-Bully," and Amir laughed for the first time that week. Ms. Delgado announced that lunchtime would include a self-defense workshop led by Coach Ramirez, news that spread across the classroom like sparks in dry grass, igniting cheers and groans alike. Trent, seated 2 rows back, cracked his knuckles theatrically and said loud enough for half the class to hear, "Why bother?" Some people need more than lessons to learn respect, aiming the words like darts at Amir. Amir scribbled a calm reply on the edge of his notebook. Lessons plant seeds, fists only rip leaves, and the act of writing cooled the tiny fire Trent tried to light inside him. Second period science featured a lab on chemical reactions, and Amir partnered with Lily, measuring vinegar and baking soda while Milo and Zach glared from another table as if explosions should happen between people instead of beakers. The fizzy reaction bubbled over, and Lily exclaimed, "Change looks messy but can power rockets," which sounded to Amir like advice disguised as homework. During group presentations, Amir explained their findings confidently, and Ms. Ortiz awarded their team 3 extra credit points, causing classroom applause that prickled Trent's pride. Third period gym brought a basketball scrimmage. Coach chose random teams, and fate placed Amir and Trent on the same side, forcing cooperation like 2 magnets flipped to attraction instead of repulsion. Trent tried to hog the ball, dribbling hard, but defenders blocked him. Finally, he passed to Amir, who pivoted, jumped, and made a clean bank shot, earning shouts of surprise from bleachers and a reluctant nod from Trent. The simple teamwork moment felt like sunlight slipping through storm clouds, brief yet bright enough to hint at possible peace. After the buzzer, Trent muttered, "Nice shot. Not quite friendly, not quite cruel, like a door cracked open just enough for hope to peek in." Hallway traffic surged between classes, and Zach whispered to Trent, "Don't go soft. Lunchtime proves who rules." But Trent's only response was a shrug neither boy understood. At the cafeteria, Tables formed invisible borders between friend groups, and Amir carried his tray of biryani and apple slices, scanning for Lily, when Milo stepped in his path holding a plastic milk carton like a tiny grenade. Milo squeezed, sending a splatter across Amir's shirt. Laughter erupted, yet Amir merely dabbed the milk with a napkin and said, "Spills wash out. Sorry your aim is off," which silenced a few giggles. Coach Ramirez clapped sharply and called everyone to the mat area at the back of the cafeteria, where foam pads waited like gentle clouds ready to catch falls. The coach opened the workshop by asking, "Who knows what real strength means?" And several hands rose, including Amir's and surprisingly Trent's. Trent answered first, saying strength is making others back down, but Coach shook his head and invited Amir to speak. Amir said, "Strength is controlling yourself so nobody gets hurt," and the room hushed as Coach beamed, declaring that answer the lesson's heart. Pairs practiced wrist escapes and balance breaks. Coach paired Amir with Trent, and they gripped each other's sleeves under watchful eyes. Amir gently demonstrated how pulling instead of pushing uses the attacker's energy, guiding Trent into a safe roll that ended with Trent blinking up at cafeteria lights, more confused than bruised. Trent sat up, cheeks flushed, and whispered, "You could have slammed me," to which Amir replied, "I don't need to win, just to stand." The next drill flipped rolls, and Trent hesitated, then copied Amir's smooth motion, letting Amir roll free, proving he could choose control too. Clapping started from Lily's corner and spread until the whole cafeteria echoed like a stadium, and even Milo clapped once before stuffing hands in his pockets. Coach closed the session by challenging students to carry respect into every hallway, lunch line, and online chat, promising extra credit to anyone caught spreading kindness. Lunchtime ended, but the energy lingered like the smell of popcorn after a fair, sweet and impossible to ignore, drifting along the hallways, sticking to conversations, sparking curious smiles from students who had watched power take a kinder shape. Back in math class, Amir noticed Trent staring at the stick figure notes in his binder. Trent whispered, "Can you show me that pivot move again after school?" Tone soft as fresh dough. Amir nodded, and a cautious smile flickered between them, fragile yet real, the way a sapling cracks pavement seeking sunlight. Last period history assigned group posters about unsung heroes, and Trent volunteered to join Amir and Lily, stating, "We could cover Malala. She fought with words, not fists," surprising everyone, including himself. While coloring the poster, Trent loaned Amir a green marker without being asked, and that tiny gesture felt bigger than a trophy. The final bell rang, and students spilled outside. Clouds stitched purple seams across the sky, but Amir's mood glowed bright as a lantern. Sarah waited by the bike rack, waving a pink gel pen like a victory flag, and Amir realized that today's story would fill many pages of the challenge log, pages about changing tides, small acts of bravery, and the discovery that even storms can choose to calm when shown a gentler horizon. New day brought gray clouds, yet Amir pedaled to school feeling lighter, because yesterday showed skies clear when understanding blows trouble away. As he locked his bike, he spotted Trent waiting by the door, not with fists but with an awkward wave, the kind that tests whether kindness will be accepted. Trent handed Amir a wrinkled apology note that simply read, "Sorry for being rough, I want to learn," and Amir tucked it into his pocket like a pebble smoothed by a river's patience. In English, Ms. Carter assigned a speech called Stand Up, and the group, now including Trent, decided to prove respect is the strongest power. While the class brainstormed, Milo sat 2 rows away, doodling dragons. Yet his eyes drifted toward Amir's table again and again, curious like a puppy edging closer to a campfire. At recess, Lily led them to practice on the small stage, and Trent surprised everyone by volunteering to speak first under dusty lights. Trent's voice trembled at the start, but Amir whispered, "Talk as if to your future self," and the words smoothed into steady echoes. He confessed that strength once meant fear to him, but now it meant offering a hand, and the stage lights seemed to brighten. Milo hovered at the doorway listening. His shadow stretched long across the wooden floor, and Amir slid an empty chair into view, offering silent welcome. Milo shuffled forward and timed their talks on Lily's phone, clutching the device like his first rope out of pit. The practice ended with high fives that echoed like small fireworks, and even Milo smiled before Zach called the show lame. Science class followed with a lesson on feedback loops. Mr. Patel used a squealing mic to show actions echo back louder, making Amir wonder if kindness could echo softer. At lunch, Coach Ramirez announced a weekend fundraiser with a martial arts demo and asked for volunteers to show how defense and respect can share the same stage. Amir raised his hand, Lily followed, and after a pause, Trent did too, making Coach's mustache twitch with approval. Extra gym sessions were set, and Mom texted back star emojis that sparkled across Amir's screen. On the gym floor, blue and red mats formed a patchwork arena filled with the scent of chalk and cleaner. Sunlight leaked between rafters. Coach paired Amir with Trent again, demonstrating how to redirect a headlock without harm. Each move felt like choreography, turning aggression into a dance. Zach wandered in with soda, sneering that real fighters don't dance, so Coach let him hold a pad to feel real force. Amir struck the pad with a palm heel, controlled yet firm, and the thud made Zach's drink fizz over his wrist. He stared at the foam and muttered, "Whoa." Trent clapped Zach on the shoulder and said there was room for another volunteer, and though Zach scoffed, he lingered, soaking up lessons like a sponge under a leak. As sunset turned gym windows orange, Coach gathered the group for cool-down breathing, reminding them lungs are engines and minds the steering. Walking out, Amir noticed Milo waiting beside the bleachers. Trent asked him to join Saturday practice, and Milo's eyes lit like lanterns. The next morning rain drummed rooftops, yet Saturday practice buzzed because change keeps its promises even in bad weather. Milo arrived clutching Grandma's oversized sunflower umbrella, and Trent joked brave shields come in all designs, cracking Milo's frown into laughter. Coach introduced scenario drills where one partner acted panicked while the other guided. Amir showed how gentleness can steer storms. Milo guided while Trent murmured cues, breathe, step back, until Coach applauded their patient teamwork. Break found granola shared. Zach tried shoulder rolls. Lily filmed for the fundraiser reel, and laughter mixed with thuds. Techniques blended with laughter, so naturally they felt like two sides of one coin spinning in the air after each new throw. Coach ended by saying mastery is measured by how many people you protect, even bullies learning to unbully themselves. The word settled into Amir's thoughts like seeds in fresh soil, and he pictured Monday as a garden sprouting polite hellos and shared seats. Sunday night homework piled up, yet Amir smiled while drafting his speech about 3 boys proving strength can change. Sarah peeked in, gifting him a sticker shaped like shield, saying heroes need badges. Amir placed it on his challenge log, promising the shield would guard every good plan he wrote beneath it. At dawn, he biked under clearing skies, the air tasting fresh like the first sip of a favorite drink. Assembly banners read "Stand Up Week," "Voices Build Bridges," and students buzzed like bees around a new hive. Principal Harmon stilled the chatter with a raised hand as stage lights drew gold paths across polished wood. Lily introduced them, then Amir spoke, each sentence a stepping stone he laid to cross a stream of nerves. He told of locker trouble, framing it as hurricane meeting tree, and listeners leaned forward, catching every leaf. Trent admitted mistakes, comparing fear to a mirror of doubts, and Milo added that laughter can lift or crush. They bowed together. Applause rose like a joyous wave that carried whispers of change in its foam. Backstage, Zach offered fist bumps and a soft sorry, and Amir logged a new chapter titled Allies Begin. Saturday at 9 o'clock, sunlight striped the gym floor like glowing ladders, and tables loaded with cupcake boxes lined the walls for the Stand Up Week fundraiser and martial arts demo, balloons swaying above like slow planets. Parents and students filled folding chairs that creaked like old swings, while Principal Harmon tested the microphone, tapping it gently until the squeal settled into steady hum, their bright clothes a patchwork quilt of hope. Coach Ramirez, dressed in his crisp black GI and white sneakers, clapped twice to call volunteers, and Amir felt his pulse drum with both nerves and excitement, his whistle tucked like a sword at his belt. Lily wheeled out a poster saying kindness knockout and flashed double thumbs up at Amir, her Pineapple Ninja drawing now printed on every ticket stub, glitter catching in the air like tiny fireflies. Trent and Milo carried foam mats together, chatting about soccer scores, proving to everyone that yesterday's rivals could become today's teammates, sweat already shining like armor under lights. Zach adjusted the projector for the highlight reel, and every time the screen flickered, he steadied it with surprising patience, determination glowing in his eyes like candles. Mom and Dad waved from row 3 beside Sarah, who held her sunflower umbrella closed like a magic wand, ready to open if anxiety clouds drifted in, her grin wide as a summer horizon. Grandfather's tiny quote book peeked from Amir's pocket, and he tapped it like a pocket drum, remembering the line that said, "Courage is quiet choices stacked tall," steadying his breathing like ocean waves. When Coach announced Amir as the first demonstrator, whispers rippled, because everyone still remembered the locker fight that never became a fight, each footfall soft as cat paws on carpet. Amir bowed, feet apart, back straight, then moved through a flowing kata that looked like wind pushing tall grass, arms slicing gentle arcs across the bright mats, light pooling around him like warm honey. Each strike stopped a hair before full extension to show control, and the audience gasped, realizing power could glow without breaking anything, jaws dropping like elevator floors in surprise. He shifted into a self-defense drill, inviting Lily to grab his wrist. With a turn of hips, he peeled free and guided her safely aside, narrating every step so kids could follow later at home, voices echoing like canyon songs down hallways. Laughter sprinkled the bleachers when Lily exaggerated a villain laugh, proving learning can be funnier than cartoons, applause rolling over them like playful thunder. Next, Trent stepped up wearing borrowed elbow pads, and Amir demonstrated how to redirect a punch. The move ended with Trent standing, unharmed, offering a high five, relief blooming in faces like sunrise on snow. A cheer rose because spectators saw respect in the space Amir left between their bodies, a gap wide enough for peace, feelings fluttering inside like sparrows caged. Coach then surprised everyone by inviting any brave guest to test the pad against Amir's block, and a tall 8th grader named Bryce swaggered forward, smirk twinkling, arrogance dripping away like sand through fingers. Bryce, star of the basketball team and unofficial hallway king, bounced on his toes, boasting that no 6th grader could stop him. Disbelief cracked like ice on a winter pond. Amir nodded politely, reminding himself that storms sound worse than they feel once you plant your feet, unity unfurling like a banner in steady wind. On Coach's signal, Bryce hurled a heavy straight punch toward the focus pad. Amir pivoted, swept his arm, and borrowed Bryce's forward force to spin him harmlessly onto a crash mat, sugar crystals sparkling like tiny stars. The gym hushed before bursting into applause, and Bryce, breathless but unhurt, stared up at the ceiling lights like someone seeing stars in daylight. A ribbon of music curled around sweaty shoulders. Amir offered a hand. Bryce gripped it, pulled up, and muttered, "Nice move, little dude." A sentence that tasted of humble pie, but also possibility, face carved from doubt but eyes asking questions. Bryce joined the volunteer line, curious eyes shining, while Coach winked at Amir as if to say lesson delivered. Tension snapped like a stick over a kneecap. During the cupcake break, Sarah sold pink frosted treats 2 for 1, claiming sugar fuels courage, and Trent bought 4, sharing with Milo and Zach. Music played from the speakers, an upbeat track whose chorus repeated the word together, and kids danced between tables while parents filmed on phones. Amir noticed Zach's older brother, Dean, leaning against the doorway, wearing a leather jacket and a hard stare, clearly unimpressed by balloons and glitter banners. Dean was in high school, muscles big, rumors bigger, and he called out, "So this is the baby dojo?" loud enough to slice through the song. People quieted. Zach froze, cupcake midway to mouth, eyes darting between Dean and Amir. Coach walked forward, but Amir raised a hand, asking silently to try first, and Coach paused, respecting the growth he'd seen. Amir stepped toward Dean, voice calm as library air, and explained the fundraiser's goal: teach defense, raise money for anti-bully programs, and build bridges, not walls. Dean scoffed that bridges break, but Amir replied that bridges flex like bamboo, yet still hold heavy trucks, a fact any engineer could confirm. The crowd chuckled, tension easing a notch, but Dean rolled shoulders, daring someone to show real skill instead of playground flips. Amir suggested a friendly demonstration using foam sticks called a screama. Dean accepted, grabbing one with a grin sharp as a hawk's beak. Coach handed Amir the other stick, whispered, "Soft blocks, no head hits," and stepped back. The duel began. Dean swung hard, testing strength. Amir angled the stick, cushioned the impact, and sidestepped, echoing lessons of water finding new paths, courage standing tall like oak against storm. Strike met parry again and again, clacks echoing like tap shoes on wood, until Amir slipped inside Dean's guard, tapped his shoulder lightly, then retreated before Dean could blink, wit dancing like lanterns swirled by wind. 3 light taps followed, each on a safe target, and Dean's grin faded into thoughtful frown as he realized muscle alone could not catch precise timing. Challenge accepted with grin sharp as shark fin. Amir ended with a respectful bow and offered the stick handle first. Dean breathed out, lowered his own, and accepted the bow, muttering, "Okay, point made." Applause surged, louder than before, because witnesses had seen arrogance melt without anyone getting hurt, adrenaline buzzing like bees in a glass jar. Principal Harmon announced the fundraiser had already tripled its goal, meaning next month the school could start a pyramid or lounge called the Bridge Room, a cozy space painted sea green where students could talk, practice moves, or just play chess after quizzes. Coach gathered everyone for a group photo. Amir stood center, arms around Lily and Trent, while Milo flashed a peace sign and Zach held up a cupcake like a trophy. The camera clicked, freezing a moment where bullies, newcomers, and friends all blended into one bright picture, proof that unstoppable fighters sometimes fight by helping others stand tall too. Monday morning arrived bright and cool, and Amir stepped into Brookhill's lobby noticing that the trophy case now displayed the Kindness Knockout poster beside the basketball plaques, shining as if it belonged there. Lily hurried over, waving an email from Principal Harmon that thanked every volunteer by name and promised free frozen yogurt coupons, a reward that made half the hallway cheer louder than the morning bell. Trent joined them, balancing a stack of flyers for the soon-to-open bridge room, and he asked Amir to proofread because neat spelling felt as important to him now as neat punches once did. They walked to homeroom together, passing walls newly lined with student artwork showing hands linked across rivers, mountains, and city streets, bright crayons declaring that nobody has to stand alone. During attendance, Ms. Delgado announced a kindness meter contest. Each class would track good deeds on a chart shaped like a giant thermometer, and the winning group would earn a pizza party on Friday. Amir smiled when Trent's hand shot up volunteering to decorate the chart. 2 weeks earlier, Trent would have painted it with sarcasm, but today he promised glitter, stars, and maybe even pineapple ninjas. First period math began with fractions, yet excitement churned like soda bubbles as everyone whispered ideas for earning kindness points, from library shelf help to tutoring younger grades after school. At recess, Milo approached Amir clutching a small origami crane, explaining he had folded 100 over the weekend to give students who looked lonely, because tiny paper wings can carry big feelings. Amir accepted the crane, tucking it beside grandfather's quote book, and promised Milo they would place a flock on the bridge room windowsill, so every visitor felt welcome before the first conversation began. Back inside, Coach Ramirez surprised the class by rolling in a padded wheelbarrow filled with old sports balls and saying, "Whoever can find a way to recycle these gets triple kindness credit." Lily suggested painting them into planet models for science. Trent offered to slice one, turning it into a planter. Amir saw Milo's spark and urged him to share his wild idea of crafting stress squeeze globes. The coach loved all three, awarding them the project and handing out dish sponges, craft knives, and permission slips, proving creativity grows fastest when watered by trust instead of doubt. Lunchtime buzzed with plans, but Zach sat alone, shoulders hunched. Amir slid onto the bench, offering half his apple and asking if Zach wanted to help design bridge room posters showing calm breathing steps. Zach's eyes widened, and he whispered he liked drawing comic panels. Together they sketched a superhero named Captain Inhale who beat villains called Panic, Anger, and Mean Rumors simply by breathing slow. Across the cafeteria, Bryce practiced footwork drills with a jump rope, pausing to thank Amir for the demo lesson and promising to volunteer as a peer mentor because strength feels better when shared. Afternoon history focused on turning points in American reform. Ms. Carter used the fundraiser as a living example, praising the class for proving change can start with a single door-held-open gesture. As dismissal neared, a sudden downpour pounded the roof like 1,000 drums, and power flickered, blanking hallway lights and freezing lockers in eerie darkness that made whispers multiply. Students gasped, but Amir calmly called, "Stay still and count to 10." Remembering a dojo drill for surprise blackouts, his steady tone traveled farther than the emergency exit sign's dim glow. Coach Ramirez sprinted toward the breaker room while Amir guided younger kids to sit against the wall, using phone flashlights like guiding lighthouses that cut neat paths through the ocean of shadows. Zach joined him, shining his own light and cracking a joke about Captain Inhale powering the grid by deep breathing, a line that drew giggles and shrank the fear heavy in the humid air. Within minutes, the lights blazed back and cheers erupted. Principal Harmon announced every helper just earned bonus kindness points because true tests happen when nobody is grading. Outside, the rain still hammered, so bus schedules tangled. Amir organized a line system under the overhang, using cones from gym class to form safe lanes, demonstrating leadership like stacking puzzle pieces. Teachers marveled at how quickly students followed his calm arm signals, and Ms. Ortiz whispered to Coach that Amir's dojo training might be the best safety drill they never officially wrote. When the final bus splashed away, Lily, Trent, and Milo stayed behind to help custodians mop slippery halls, each swish of the wet broom erasing muddy footprints and writing new silent stories of service. Custodian Mr. Lopez, usually shy, smiled wide and offered extra supplies for bridge room decorations, saying laughter and lemonade will replace harsh bleach smell in that space. Walking bikes home under shared umbrellas, the group brainstormed a ribbon-cutting ceremony featuring song, speeches, and a demonstration from Amir's class, this time with foam swords shaped like pencils to show learning defends too. At Amir's house, Mom brewed cardamom tea while Dad printed bridge room flyers. Sarah glued her sunflower umbrella to one as a mascot, declaring storms will be welcome because bridges are built to handle rain. Homework waited, yet Amir spent an hour drafting an assembly speech about the blackout teamwork, using short words and big heart so sixth graders and kindergartners could both feel included. Grandfather called on video chat, and Amir summarized the day. Grandfather closed his eyes, nodded, and recited a new quote, "Lanterns share flame without shrinking," which Amir wrote atop challenge log page 52. He practiced kata in the living room, stepping over couch pillows like stepping stones, visualizing every motion helping someone cross fear's river instead of pushing them in. Before bed, he checked his kindness chart, guided students during blackout, helped Zach design posters, mopped floors, shared apple, 4 deeds, for bright stars drawn beside Monday's date. He stuck Milo's origami crane on his desk lamp, and its shadow flapped against the wall like a gentle signal flag reminding him tomorrow will need new wings. Rain stopped overnight, leaving puddles that mirrored sunrise pink. Biking to school, Amir saw his reflection, rippled yet upright, just like character can bend but stay true. At the entrance, volunteers already taped turquoise paper over an unused storage room, transforming it into bridge room walls, and the smell of fresh paint drifted like dawn perfume. Trent rolled paint with steady strokes while Bryce reached high spots. Milo placed stress globes on shelves. Lily arranged chair circles so no seat sat alone, each detail turning blueprint into heartbeat. Zach arrived with comics printed on bright cardstock, sticking Captain and Hale panels near the door, and students walking by paused, breathed in sync with the hero, then laughed at the villain mean rumor melting away. Principal Harmon inspected the progress, declaring the room would open Thursday morning and inviting Amir to cut the ribbon, a pair of safety scissors already tied with blue yarn waiting on a small table. Coach Ramirez clapped Amir's shoulder and said, "Unstoppable fighters protect peace," words that thudded in Amir's chest like a new drum, steady and exciting. Tuesday's hallway chatter crackled like radio, while Amir took the blue yarn-wrapped safety scissors, their plastic grip still warm from Principal Harmon, and Lily whispered that history waited to be snipped. With a single clean squeeze, the ribbon parted, falling like 2 silk streams, and the crowd burst into claps that bounced off lockers so loudly even late bus engines outside seemed quiet in comparison. Students streamed inside, staring at paper cranes dangling on invisible thread, each flutter reflecting lamp glow that Milo said would mimic sunset calm all day. Pencil-shaped foam swords leaned in a corner beside beanbags, while Zach's Captain and Hale posters lined the walls, ending with a bubble that said, "Pause, breathe, proceed." Trent flipped open a clipboard kindness meter shaped like a thermometer and announced that homeroom 6B had already filled it halfway, his proud grin as wide as the yardstick he used to point at the rising red line. Ms. Delgado entered next carrying a pizza party voucher like it was Olympic gold and declared that math review would happen inside the bridge room today because numbers grow friendlier in peaceful air. During that lesson, Amir noticed Bryce tutoring 2 fourth graders on long division with jelly bean counters, gently swapping incorrect piles until smiles bloomed brighter than the colorful candies. Across the circle, Milo handed out squeeze globes to nervous first graders waiting for reading practice, explaining that strong hands should hold help instead of fear, a truth the tiny listeners immediately believed. At lunch, Trent organized a relay where every act of kindness earned a sticker stuck to the relay baton. By the time the final runner crossed the finish chalk line, the baton looked like a rainbow caterpillar. A sudden shout rose near the vending machines when an 8th grader named Roy mocked a smaller boy's stutter, cruel jokes slicing through the cafeteria hum and freezing trays midair. Amir, Lily, and Trent exchanged one glance before walking over like synchronized swimmers, their calm steps parting the sea of onlookers quicker than any lifeguard whistle could have managed. Amir addressed Roy with steady tone, stating that teasing speech was like unplugging someone's microphone, unfair to the song inside, and he offered Roy a chance to apologize publicly or discuss privately. Roy scoffed and shoved Amir's shoulder, but the move lacked venom. Amir absorbed the push by stepping back on a diagonal, redirecting the momentum exactly as Sensei Rivera taught during flow drills. Trent gently guided the younger boy behind Lily, who spoke soothingly while Zach recorded the incident for the kindness log, noting every respectful word like a courtroom stenographer. Bryce stepped between Roy and the vending machine, holding an open palm to show no attack yet full readiness, muscles relaxed the way rivers bend yet never vanish. Coach Ramirez, alerted by the shifting crowd noise, arrived just as Roy swung another shove. Amir raised a single forearm block and pivoted, guiding Roy's arm past his own body into empty space. The bully stumbled forward, losing equilibrium, and Bryce's steady hand on Roy's back prevented a fall while Coach blew his whistle, the shrill note sealing the moment like the snap of a camera shutter. Silence hung until Coach asked Roy to define real strength. Cheeks burning, Roy muttered that maybe it meant not hurting people, words tumbling like dice that finally landed on a lucky number. Coach nodded and invited Roy to tomorrow's beginner self-defense class, promising extra credit and a fresh start, an offer that stretched across the cafeteria like a newly built bridge. Cookies were later served by Ms. Ortiz as celebration for crisis averted, each chocolate chip tasting sweeter because it melted panic instead of just sugar. In afternoon assembly, Principal Harmon announced Homeroom 6B had officially won the kindness contest 2 days early. Pizza party upgraded to include frozen yogurt and extra recess vouchers. He then surprised everyone by revealing a new plaque labeled Unstoppable Fighter Award, dedicated to Amir Khan, honoring courage used for defense, not domination, to be awarded yearly to future peacemakers. Applause thundered louder than drumline practice, and Amir's ears rang happily as he climbed the stage steps, remembering day one dread and marveling at the distance 4 weeks of choices could travel. He accepted the certificate, but before leaving the microphone, he called Trent, Milo, Lily, Zach, Bryce, and even Roy onto the stage, declaring that unstoppable meant nobody stood alone in the ring of life. The audience roared approval, and Sarah's yell of "That's my brother" floated from the balcony like a kite string pulled by pride. After school, Amir rolled his bike toward the rack when Roy jogged over, breathless, offering a sincere apology and asking whether origami cranes were hard to fold because he wanted to give some tomorrow. Amir smiled, promised a quick lesson before first bell, and handed Roy a practice square of blue paper, watching the former bully study the creases like secret treasure maps. Evening found Amir at home penciling another challenge log entry, page 60 this time, titled Bridges Growing Lanes, where he wrote that every hand offered changes 2 hearts, the givers and the takers. Dad read the page, nodded, and stapled the Unstoppable Fighter certificate inside the cover, saying records matter, but living the lesson tomorrow matters more. Night winds tapped the window, reminding Amir to practice kata. Each move felt lighter, because fear weighed less now, almost like shadowboxing sunlight. He finished by bowing to an invisible circle of friends, bullies, teachers, and little sisters, thanking them for shaping the air he breathed. Wednesday dawned with pink clouds and cool mist, and Amir biked through puddles that sprayed his shoes but couldn't dampen his grin. At school, Roy waited holding 10 misshapen cranes, proudly announcing he had folded courage into every wing and asking if they could hang them at the entrance where new students first stepped inside. Together they taped the cranes, each flutter catching hallway breeze, and Amir realized the chain reaction of kind acts felt exactly like dominoes falling upward. First period saw Zach unveiling the final Captain in Hale comic strip, with a hero teaches ex-villain Panic to garden, proving villains are often heroes who lost their way. Miss Carter smiled so wide her glasses fogged, awarding Zach a creative writing star and pinning it to his binder for everyone to admire. During bridge room opening hours, Amir guided Roy through basic stance drills. Milo coached breathing patterns, and Trent moderated polite sparring matches, the former hierarchy unrecognizable amid shared laughter. Lunch brought the promised pizza party, melty cheese, fizzy drinks, and a spontaneous karaoke session where Bryce's off-key rendition of pop hits had teachers laughing harder than students. That afternoon, an announcement crackled that the district superintendent would visit Friday to observe Brookhill's kindness initiative, prompting excited plans for student-led tours led by Amir's crew. As final bell rang, Amir paused in locker row C, touching the smooth poster-covered metal and whispering thanks to the space that birthed both conflict and camaraderie. Friday morning buzzed as buses unloaded students who straightened shirts and practiced greetings, because the district superintendent's visit felt like a kindness pop quiz everyone wanted to pass, and even the janitor polished the entry tiles twice to make them shine. Amir arrived early with a clipboard, carefully checking that every hallway poster lay flat and each paper crane hung straight, remembering Sensei Rivera's rule that tidy stances and tidy rooms both show respect. The front doors opened quietly when Superintendent Gomez stepped inside, silver hair pinned and eyes sweeping the lobby like radar scanning for stories, her notebook already open for observations. Principal Harmon greeted her with a handshake, then let Amir's team lead the walkthrough as Lily handed out pocket-sized maps marked with bright stars showing demonstration stations all over the building. At the trophy case, the Kindness Knockout poster glowed beside basketball plaques, and Milo explained how one small lunchtime workshop had grown into a school-wide bridge program in only 4 weeks. When asked what kept momentum high, Trent replied that celebrating tiny wins, like sticker batons, glitter charts, and jelly bean counters, made good deeds feel like fun quests instead of boring chores. In the next hall, Bryce spun a basketball repainted as Jupiter, saying old gear can orbit new purposes when students share ideas, and the superintendent laughed at the swirled orange clouds. Zach presented a Captain and Hale comic booklet, and Superintendent Gomez laughed at the panel, where the hero teaches villains to garden vegetables shaped like hearts. At the bridge room door, Roy bowed and handed visitors pale blue origami cranes, saying each wing promised to lift classmates whenever troubles felt heavy like backpacks full of bricks. Inside, warm lamplight bounced off squeeze globes while Amir explained how calm voices during last week's power blackout turned a scary moment into another badge on the kindness meter. Superintendent Gomez tested a beanbag, bounced once, and declared it the most welcoming space she had seen, making nearby first graders giggle. Lily asked two shy students to show stress ball moves, and the superintendent copied them, joking that leaders need calm hands for budget meetings. At locker row, the group viewed photos of the demo and cupcake sale, each caption teaching respectful strength. Gomez traced one caption reading power guides, not grinds, and Amir admitted it came from grandfather's quote book. In the gym, Coach Ramirez invited Amir and Trent to show a redirection drill, and Gomez gasped softly when the punch flowed harmlessly past Amir's shoulder. Coach explained that discipline reports had dropped by half since students learned to pivot aggression into cooperation, a fact brighter than any championship banner. Bryce added that pickup games now choose teams by rock, paper, scissors instead of popularity, proving new habits can erase old hierarchies. In the art room, murals of cranes flying over bridges covered the walls, and Ms. Ortiz said art club membership doubled once projects centered on inclusion. Superintendent Gomez whispered that creative numbers tell their own stories, then signed the visitor book with a flourish shaped like a crane's wing. The tour ended in the cafeteria where volunteers served reheated pizza party slices, so guests could literally taste victory. Amir presented the kindness meter chart now completely filled, the red line touching a glitter star topper, and announced that new meters would track outreach projects next month. Superintendent Gomez asked what outreach meant, and Milo described sharing bridge room kits with nearby elementary schools, complete with crane instructions and foam pencil katas. Trent revealed plans for a mobile kindness cart loaded with stress globes, comics, and tip cards to roll along bus lanes each afternoon. Roy admitted he once feared bus duty but now looked forward to giving cranes away, showing helpers often grow from healed hurt. Superintendent Gomez pledged district funds for supplies, noting student-led ideas stretch budgets further than top-down orders. Principal Harmon called for a special assembly, and the gym filled, bleachers rumbling like distant thunder as sneakers climbed wooden steps. On stage, Superintendent Gomez praised Brookhill for proving unstoppable fighters use skill to protect, creativity to connect, and humility to correct mistakes. She unveiled a golden plaque naming Brookhill an official model campus for respectful resilience, and cheers rattled backboards while crane mobiles fluttered overhead. Amir was called forward again, but he redirected applause toward his teammates, raising their joined hands like champions at a tournament final. Gomez then invited Amir to speak at the Regional Student Council Summit, saying voices that build bridges deserve bigger rivers. After assembly, Sarah tugged Amir's sleeve, bragging her sunflower umbrella logo now shown on the school website, and Amir laughed, noting storms everywhere would feel welcome. Dismissal brought clear skies and a fresh breeze while students swapped kindness stickers like trading cards, vowing to keep meters rising even without prizes. Roy practiced smooth introductions at the bike rack, and Bryce timed him, cheering every crisp syllable until Roy's grin gleamed brighter than chrome handlebars. Zach slipped a new comic into Gomez's briefcase showing Captain and Hale mentoring Superintendent Serenity, proving adults learn too. Coach Ramirez gathered the martial arts crew for a final bow in the parking lot, facing the setting sun as if thanking daylight for guiding their journey. Trent whispered that real black belts are invisible, woven into everyday kindness, and Amir replied that every handshake tightens the knot. Riding home, Amir felt the wind push his face like a playful sparring partner, and imagined future schools building bridge rooms faster because Brookhill drew the blueprint in bright crayon. At dinner, Dad toasted cardamom tea to unstoppable fighters, and Mom reminded Amir heroes who lift big causes also take out the trash. Before bed, Amir logged page 70 of his challenge log, taping a tour ticket beside a photo of the golden plaque and writing that bridges now stretched beyond Brookhill. His last line read, "Strength that shares grows endless," and as the lamp clicked off, he pictured paper cranes gliding over rooftops toward distant schools, wings wide and engines of gentle change.